Audiobook Intro. Notes from Underground. Modern Audiobook Edition. You're about to hear the words of a man most people ignore. He lives alone, thinks too much, feels even more. He's not a hero, he's not even likable, but he's honest. Painfully, brutally honest. This is his mind, raw, bitter, brilliant, and spiraling. A window into the underside of human nature, where pride and shame sleep in the same bed, and truth wears a cracked mirror. Welcome to Notes from Underground. A story not about finding the light, but learning how to live without it. I am a sick man. Modern audiobook script. Narration style. I'm a sick man. Not metaphorically, like, oh, he's twisted. I mean, actually, I'm unwell. Physically, mentally, spiritually, you name it. I've got liver problems. Or maybe it's my stomach? I'm not totally sure. I haven't seen a doctor in years. I hate doctors. Not because I think they're wrong. On the contrary, they're probably absolutely right. That's what bothers me. And anyway, what would a diagnosis even do for me? Cure me? No thanks. I've gotten weirdly attached to my pain. It's mine. Personal, familiar. Some people want to get better. Me? I nurture my suffering like a houseplant. I water it with spite. I'm a bitter man too. Spiteful. I live alone. I don't speak to anyone. I write this from a dingy little apartment, or let's call it what it is, my underground. That's where I live now. Not physically, but existentially, emotionally. I'm not even writing this for you, really. I don't expect you to read it or care. I don't even care if I care. That's how far gone this whole thing is. But I write anyway because it feels like something. Because even down here, buried in my own head, I want to be heard, even if only by the walls. You think I'm dramatic? I can hear you thinking it. You think I'm just some sad old crank mad at the world. You're not wrong. But let me ask you this. Haven't you ever been so self-aware it made you sick? Haven't you ever stood in the mirror and hated what stared back but refused to look away? Yeah. That's the underground. You start thinking too much about life, about yourself, about other people's thoughts, and then your own about their thoughts, and eventually, nothing makes sense. You see, I was too smart for my own good. Not brilliant, just over-analytical. Always observing, always digging, until the ground gave way and I fell through the bottom. And down here, everything's damp. Everything echoes, and nobody visits. So yes, I'm sick. I'm spiteful. I'm a man who talks to himself in the dark. And this is my story. Against the grain. Let's get something straight. We, humans, we like to think we're rational, logical, progress-driven. We build systems. We worship science. We invent things, cure diseases, make calculators that fit in our pockets and pretend they're phones. And we tell ourselves, everything is improving. I hate that. I hate that smug little story we tell, that we're all moving forward, that history has a direction, that we're getting better and better as we go. Oh, please. You want a utopia? One where people act like neat little gears in a well-oiled machine? Where everyone behaves, no one throws rocks through windows, and we all cheer for the common good? Yeah, good luck with that. People don't want perfection. They want chaos, or at least the option for it, They want the right to slam the brakes, flip the table, scream into the void. Why? Because we're not math problems. Have you ever heard that old line, 2 + 2 = 4? That's supposed to be some kind of ultimate truth, right? Undeniable, clean, final. But here's the thing. Even that makes me itch. Because what if I want 2 + 2 to = 5? What if the fact that it can't makes me want to set the whole system on fire? That's the problem with reason. It tries to pin everything down, even the human soul. But you can't reduce a person to a formula. You can't spreadsheet your way to happiness. Sometimes we choose the worst option on purpose, just to prove we're free, even if that freedom ruins us. They say man is a creature who adapts to everything. I say man is a creature who sabotages himself, just so he doesn't become a cog in someone else's machine. Give a man comfort, stability, even mathematical certainty, and he'll still find a way to break something, to shout no at the universe. That's the underground part of all of us. That whisper in the back of your mind that says, screw logic. I want to feel alive. So no, I don't believe in the straight path. Progress isn't a train, it's a carousel, with broken horses and half the lights flickering. And the worst part? I think we like it that way. The pleasures of pain. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in pain? Emotional, physical, whatever? And instead of fighting it, you leaned in. Not because you're brave, not because it felt good, but because it felt real. That's the secret, isn't it? There's a strange pleasure in suffering. It focuses you, clarifies the world, cuts through the noise. You feel important, like your pain is proof of something. Depth, sensitivity, intelligence, like you're living in high definition while everyone else is stuck in basic cable. And once you taste that, it's hard to give it up. You know what I hate? The enlightened types, always preaching self-improvement, good vibes, mental hygiene, as if human beings are supposed to function like air purifiers. Try being too self-aware. Try being so conscious that every action, every thought comes with a second thought, then a third, then a full-blown existential committee in your head. You'll long for the simplicity of a stubbed toe. Sometimes I think people aren't afraid of pain. They're afraid of feeling nothing. And when the world goes quiet and your accomplishments don't fill you up, suffering becomes a kind of company. You nurture it, like a pet. You name it, feed it, let it curl up beside you at night. It's pathetic, I know, but there's an honesty in it. Pain doesn't lie to you like ambition does. You see, when a tooth aches, you know what to feel. When your soul aches, no instruction manual for that. So we create meaning from the ache. We say, look at me suffer, look how deep I must be. And we let that suffering define us. Is it sick? Absolutely. But it's mine, and it's real. And in a world of artificial smiles and pre-approved emotions, that counts for something. So yes, I suffer. And somewhere inside that suffering, I smile, because it means I'm still here. Toothaches and spite. Let me paint you a picture. It's the middle of the night. You've got a toothache. Not a sharp one. No, this is a slow, dull throb. The kind that hums like a bass line through your jaw, through your skull. You know you should do something. Call a dentist, take something. But instead, you sit in the dark and enjoy it. Not the pain itself, the performance of the pain. You sigh a little louder. You shuffle dramatically in bed. You let the walls hear your suffering. But here's the twist. You're not doing it for anyone else. You're doing it for yourself. Because there's a twisted pleasure in the act. The whole ritual of misery. That's the power of spite. Pure, uncut pettiness. I could take medicine, I could solve the problem, but no. I'd rather suffer on purpose, just to prove I have the right to. And even if no one hears me, no one cares. It doesn't matter, because I care. Because I am the audience for this little theater of pain. You see, when you're trapped with your own thoughts long enough, even something as small as a toothache becomes symbolic. It becomes a statement, a banner, a scream that says, "Look at me. I hurt, and I won't let the world fix me." The real reason I don't fix the pain? Because fixing it would be rational, and I don't want to be rational. That's the thing about spite. It doesn't care about outcomes. It just wants to burn something down, even if it's your own house, especially if it's your own house. You think that's crazy? Maybe it is, but at least it's honest. So go ahead, call me pathetic. Call me self-destructive. Just don't call me predictable. Down here in the underground, even the pain is curated.
Free will and flipping the table. So here's the thing about free will. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and most importantly, it ruins everything. All those scientists, moralists, progress fanboys, they want to lock the human soul in a spreadsheet. Give people comfort, safety, a little entertainment, and ta-da, you've got utopia. Idiots. They forget one tiny detail. We don't want perfect systems. We want the option to destroy them. You give a man everything. Peace, prosperity, 24/7 hot water, and what does he do? He flips the table. He throws the soup. He screams at the sun. Why? Because he can. That's the root of real freedom. Not the ability to choose the best outcome, but the right to choose the worst one, deliberately. Imagine this. You've finally built the perfect society, all logic, all comfort, no pain. But some guy, some spiteful, messy little man, will walk into that paradise and go, "I'm bored," and then he'll punch a wall, because he needs to prove that no matter how smooth the system, he's not a cog. He's a chaos gremlin, an irrational glitch in your beautiful algorithm, and he will light himself on fire to prove the machine isn't God. That's what makes us human. Not logic, not virtue, but the right to scream no, even when the whole world is offering you a yes on a silver platter. We're not creatures of reason. We're creatures of contradiction. And we'd rather suffer in freedom than live in paradise as programmable dolls. You can call that irrational. You can call it self-sabotage. I call it will. Let the world run on rules. Down here in the underground, I choose to break them. In the corner, watching life. This part happened a while ago, back when I was younger. Still bitter, just less refined about it. Still obsessed with my own thoughts, but pretending not to be. I worked in a small government office. Routine stuff, endless paperwork. No one knew me. I liked it that way. I kept to myself, kept quiet, always hyper-aware of how I looked to others. They didn't care, but I cared that they didn't care. I was invisible, and I resented every minute of it. Every day, I walked through the city like a ghost, watching people, judging them, imagining I was above them, because the truth was I couldn't connect with anyone. I'd see them laugh and live and talk like it meant something, and I'd tell myself it was fake, because if it wasn't fake, what did that say about me? I started to believe that life was a party I was never invited to. I could see the lights, hear the music, but I stood in the corner, not dancing, not even trying to, just watching and judging everyone who did. At one point, I remember walking behind a man on the street, tall, well-dressed, confident. He moved like the world made sense to him. I hated him instantly. So, what did I do? Did I confront him? No. I started calculating literally how to accidentally bump into him over days, weeks. That's what my life had become. A full psychological war over shoulder contact. Ridiculous, right? But when you've got nothing, no love, no purpose, no joy, even the pettiest things feel like battles worth fighting. Because at least it means you're still in the game.
I wanted something to happen, anything, even if it was humiliating, even if it ended badly, because silence was worse. That's the thing about watching life from the corner. Eventually, you forget how to step out, and worse, you convince yourself you never wanted to.
The dinner party disaster. So, there I was, invited, well, half invited, to a dinner party. Old schoolmates, people I hadn't seen in years, people I hated then, and, if I'm honest, probably hated me too. But I went, not out of friendship, out of spite. Because deep down, I wanted to prove something, that I mattered, that I was more than the ghost in the corner, that they were the ones who had wasted their lives, not me. Of course, it started off badly. I arrived too early, sat in a chair like furniture, said nothing. They joked, laughed, toasted each other, like the world was still their playground. I tried to smile, I tried to belong. I didn't. The truth is, I didn't know how to be around people anymore. Their warmth felt like a personal attack. Their success, a spotlight on my failure. And so what did I do? I antagonized them. Talked too much, said weird things, made passive-aggressive comments like it was a fencing match. I turned the whole thing into a test. If you really respected me, you'd see past my awkwardness. If you don't, well, then I was right about you all along. Spoiler alert, they didn't, and I wasn't. Eventually, they stopped responding, just talked around me, over me, like I wasn't even there. One of them even tried to give me money. Not kindly, not generously, but like you'd tip a stray dog that won't stop barking. And I took it, like a punch I asked for. That was the moment it all cracked. Not outside, inside. Because I realized I had tried to climb out of my underground, but I brought a shovel. We think humiliation is loud, public, dramatic, but real humiliation is quiet. It's that silence after a joke that didn't land. That moment when your old friends look through you like you're made of fog. When you realize maybe they've moved on, and maybe you never started. That was the last dinner party I ever went to. I went home, sat in the dark, and reminded myself I never wanted to be part of their world anyway.
The duel of egos. You ever pick a fight that only you know you're in? That's what this was, a duel. Me versus a man named Zverkov. He didn't know it, of course. Because Zverkov, he was popular, confident, the kind of man who walks into a room like he's doing it a favor. And me, I hated him on sight. He wasn't smarter than me, or deeper, or more interesting, but he had something I didn't. Ease. That horrible, smooth, effortless way some people fit into the world, like they were built for it. And so I decided, silently, obsessively, to ruin him. Not physically, I wasn't going to throw a punch. I wanted something worse. I wanted to morally defeat him. I wanted him to look at me, really look at me, and realize I was more than a shadow in the corner, that I had depth, power, rage, that I was his equal or better. But the thing is, you can't win a duel when the other person never agreed to fight. At the dinner, I baited him. I insulted him, not even cleverly, just loudly. I tried to out-toast him, out-talk him, out-brood him, and he ignored me. Smiled that smug little smile, made me feel like background noise in my own monologue. I wanted him humiliated. Instead, I got drunk. Pathetic. Slurring, begging for attention like a moth slamming into a window. There's nothing more humiliating than trying to provoke a man and having him not care enough to be provoked. I was swinging at shadows, and the only person getting hit was me. It wasn't about Zverkov, really. It was about the part of me that wanted to be him, that hated myself for wanting it, that burned with shame at needing anyone's recognition at all. You know what the worst part is? He probably forgot about me the next day. But I'll remember that night forever. That's how duels work in the underground. You fight alone. And when you lose quietly. Some men conquer the world. Some conquer nothing, and some just keep fighting.
Liza. Her name was Liza. I met her in a place where people don't usually expect honesty. A brothel. She was young, quiet, tired, the kind of tired that doesn't come from lack of sleep, but from having no one who sees you. I saw her. And maybe, just maybe, she saw me too. We talked. Not like client and worker, but like two ghosts who accidentally bumped into each other in the fog. She didn't say much, but she listened. And I did something I almost never do. I told the truth. I talked about death, about loneliness, about what it feels like to rot from the inside while still putting on a face for the world. She didn't flinch. She didn't smile politely or change the subject. She just stayed. It was terrifying. I told her that if she didn't change her life, she'd end up like me. I thought I was helping. I thought I was being generous, wise, deep. But looking back, maybe I just wanted to hear my own voice echo in someone else's emptiness. And then, days later, she came to see me, to my apartment, to me. Maybe because she believed I cared, maybe because she thought I could save her, maybe because she wanted to save me. You know what I did? I turned on her. I mocked her. I lashed out. I told her it was all fake, her emotions, her hope, her presence. Why? Because she got too close. Because she held up a mirror I didn't want to look into. Because I couldn't handle being seen and loved anyway. She left in silence, and I was alone again, but this time I had no one to blame but myself. She was the only real thing that ever came into my world, and I sent her away.
And now here we are. You've heard everything. My rants, my failures, the endless spirals. And maybe you're wondering, what's the point? To be honest, I'm not sure there is one. Some people live for big conclusions, tidy endings, moral lessons. Me, I live to prove there wasn't one. They say we write to make sense of the world, to tell a story, but I didn't write this for you, or for them. I wrote it for the echo, for the silence between the thoughts, for the one corner of the mind where no one else is watching. This isn't a confession. It's a fossil, proof that I existed. Do I regret Liza? Yes. Do I regret the duel, the dinner, the decades of bitterness? Sometimes. But even now, sitting in the dark, with nothing but pages and echoes, I'm still not sure I would have done it differently. Because this pain, this stubborn refusal to fit into the world, was the only thing I ever owned. They'll say this was self-pity. They'll call me a coward, a sick man, a spiteful man, a broken man. Let them. They'll move on, turn the page, forget me, but I'll still be here, down below, in the underground. Maybe we're not meant to be cured. Maybe some of us are meant to feel everything too much and still leave no mark at all. You can stop listening now, but down here, the story never really ends. Notes from Underground Modern Audiobook Edition. You've heard the voice of a man no one listens to, a voice buried in thought, in pride, in pain, a voice from the underground. This wasn't a story with lessons, or heroes, or redemption. It was something else, a confession without a priest, a scream without an audience, a mind unraveled thread by thread until only the silence was left. If you felt seen, even in the darkness, then maybe you've been underground too.